Are you a nurse practitioner who's wondered whether or not you should get on social media? Have you heard about group coaching but not sure if it's for you or even if the investment is worth it? Well, I just finished my first group coaching week and I live to tell about it. In today's video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should consider being on social media and the first steps you should take. Be sure to stick around because I'm going to tell you my favorite platform for healthcare providers, and I'm going to tell you whether or not I'm going to do this again. If you're new here, welcome. First of all, subscribe so you don't miss the next time I go live. I usually go live on the weekends, mostly on Saturdays, unless I get really busy like yesterday. So make sure you don't I don't want you to miss when that happens. In the future, the plan is to grow this platform so that we can talk to each other at the same time. Welcome. I'm Dr. Kimberly Madison, a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner, and I use social media to share my journey as a nurse, as an educator, entrepreneur, and a dreamer. I share my journey as a blueprint for you as you embark on your own. And I'm here to build community because all of us have heard, hopefully, that we can do so much more together. Nurses are the largest segment of the healthcare workforce. Too often we work in silos, and way too often we work in silence, and far too often we suffer in silence. And we don't need to do that anymore. So, welcome to the family. I'm super excited to be here. I'm so excited to share with you how my first week went. As I mentioned last weekend, that's what this video was going to be all about. And in fact, the last video that I posted was part of our assignment for the week in our group coaching session. So let's just jump right into it. So first of all, social media is something I absolutely love. So the reason I even got into social media in the first place was I was on a sabbatical. So my coach is super popular here on YouTube. I've been following her for about 3 or 2 years, and through 2 or 3 years. And one thing she really talks about all the time are taking sabbaticals away from work. She was in the army, she was a pharmacy tech, and one day she took off of work and went on vacation. And while she was on vacation, she ran across some college students who were talking about their gap year. She hadn't heard of gap year, so she inquired a little bit more and thought, what a wonderful idea. She came back home from her vacation, wrote down how much her expenses would be for her to take her own gap year, and went back to work, did a whole bunch of overtime, left that job, took her gap year, and never looked back. She was on social media sharing her journey. While she was doing that, another lady, a lawyer from Detroit who worked for Lyft, was also traveling the world and documenting her journey on Instagram or social media. Somebody who followed both of them said, "Oh, the two of you should meet." Fast forward, now they've created a huge community, particularly of Black women. And a lot of one of the main themes is that you can take back your life. You can have the freedom you want. There's more than one way. You don't have to do all the things and be all the things to all the people. And yeah, one way to kind of start and just kind of see what that life could look like is by taking a sabbatical. And so if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have even thought of the idea. And so as I've mentioned in my other videos, which I invite you to go back and watch, my Vlogmas series in particular is where I really got into, that's actually where I started my whole channel in December. But I take you through my journey as a nurse and where I am right now. But in 2000, so I did the BSN to DNP program at the George Washington University. And I found out in January of 2019 that I was going to be graduating that May. Had no idea that was going to happen. I had no plans to stop working and get a job. And so I really debated over it. It was a very challenging decision to make. Because, in our training, we're taught to do all this training, study for your boards, get a job, and what, right? What's after that? You're not going to be, there's no promotion, right? This nurse practitioner 2, 3, 4, where does that actually lead to? That's a topic we need to get into more. And so I already had my colleagues that had went on to become nurse practitioners, and I heard how difficult it was, how much work they were doing after work and on the weekend. And I already had work on the weekend and after work, and I continue to work full time, by the way. And so I decided not to start right away. And that had a lot to do with my imposter syndrome in the beginning too, because what could I call myself, a nurse practitioner? I wasn't practicing in that capacity. I still had the knowledge. It was certainly helping. I was using that to care for my patients, but that wasn't my role or title. So I struggled with that for a bit. And then after I did get my DMP, I took another year because in that time span of being in grad school, which was 6 years, I started learning about investing and real estate and entrepreneurship. And, I'm working full time. I'm in school 7 days a week, basically. And I could only listen and learn so much, right? And I really wanted to learn more, really spend a lot of time with it. And I thought, if I get this job right away, I still won't have time to do that. So again, I made the tough decision to wait another year, and that ended last summer. And so I'm in my first NP job. But that sabbatical, that break is my number one recommendation for nurses and nurse practitioners. Before you go to that next step, whether it's a new program, a new job, a new place of employment, whatever it is, take that break, right? Especially if you are moving one job to another, technically there's no vacate, you don't have to ask for permission. So take the time off. 2 weeks, 1 month, 6 months, a year if you can afford it. And so what I call my sabbatical is a working sabbatical because I did continue to work just 3 days a week. But it was a sabbatical for me because I wasn't making any big decisions. I wasn't following the traditional track. And so in that time, I ran across, so now I'm exploring all these opportunities, right? And I ran across the Elite NP and completely changed my life. I wasn't planning to open my own clinic or business whatsoever. So actually, so when I was watching all these videos about entrepreneurship and investing, one thing that really crossed my mind a lot was, should I even stay in healthcare? So part of that year of taking off was one of the questions I wanted to answer. And so when I follow all these entrepreneurs, most of them weren't talking about entrepreneurship within healthcare from the provider perspective. And so that's partly why I was struggling with that decision. So when I ran across the Elite MP, now I have all this information about the benefits of entrepreneurship, and I'm seeing a whole community of nurse practitioners in entrepreneurship. And so in one of his recent videos, the Elite NP, or the Elite Nurse Practitioner, that was started by Justin Allen, we love him. He had a video up on RN health coaching. Now I know we're all familiar with coaching as a job. Is it a job? As a business structure. And so, in that video, when you hear about those kind of topics, it's always like, that's something you can do. You can offer your expertise. But we never hear it like, what about you being the one receiving the coaching? And this goes parallel with my conversation, my soapbox about the importance of mentorship, because coaching is very similar to mentorship. Someone described it like mentorship is where they give you like guidance and advice, kind of help you navigate things. And the line is very thin. And if you have a better way of putting it, I'd love to hear it. You can share it in the comments, or you can message me directly. I'd love to continue that conversation. But so the way someone described it was like, mentorship is like they offer you guidance and advice, whereas a coach helps you create this space. So with coaching, you already have what it takes, and they help you create this space to explore that creativity. And they continue to give advice and share their own experience. But it's a little more like them supporting you to do what you can already do. Whereas in mentorship, oftentimes you're learning something new or gleaning something from them that you haven't yet obtained yourself. That's one way I describe it. Love to hear how you describe it. But yeah, so often I know you probably know your colleagues, nurses and nurse practitioners, who are out here coaching. They are coaching us too, I guess, now that I think about it. But anyway, I ran across that channel, and what I really loved about that whole community, and so he has the website, he has the podcast, he offers courses, a blog, super rich with information. But I love the podcast. I probably listened to every single episode that first year that I was on sabbatical. And he describes like his whole platform like one way, but the way I describe it especially when you listen to the podcast, which you can watch on YouTube. Um, to me, I call it a business troubleshooting channel. And in each episode, he says the same thing, three things over and over. Yes, you can do it. No, it's not that complicated. And keep it simple. Oh, and marketing. Huge, huge, huge on the marketing, which we'll get into more later, because even though he emphasizes how important marketing is all the time, everyone who calls in is like, yeah, I haven't really put that much time into it. I'm really not into it. It's not really my thing. I'm trying to use all these other avenues. It's like every time he's like marketing. He offers a marketing course. I've taken it. I highly recommend it. All his courses are beneficial. And everyone else who I've seen leave comments have said the same thing. So that's how I came across him in his community, decided to start my own business. And in doing so, you're kind of learning, like, how can you promote your business and your practice? And so while I'm learning that, I also started reading this book by Daniel Priestley called Key Person of Influence. And in that, he offers his own framework. I want to say it's 5 different things, but basically what he says is you are who Google says you are. And instead of, which I know a lot of us do, we wait to get a big job and add that to our resume and let that kind of be our identity, right? But instead, you should create your own digital footprint first. And in fact, that will increase your chances for that big job, whatever you're looking for. And so the idea is, like, nobody wants to buy from you if you just showed up yesterday. They have no idea who you are, but people are more inclined to support you and whatever endeavors you have if they've gotten a chance to know you and they've been able to follow your journey. And so I thought, well, I know I have some time because I was a new NP, wanted to start a business as a nurse practitioner. So I needed to first learn how to be a nurse practitioner. And so I was like, while that time is passing, I can go ahead and create my social media presence and share my journey. And by the time, it's like I've followed so many other people's journeys. I always shout out Nurse Ags and Fatima Francesca. I've followed them for years now, especially Fatima. And it's just been and she's been making videos. I think she was in nursing school, but I ran across her. She was already an MP. But I think it was right before she started her IV infusion clinic. But yeah, I've been following their journey and just love to see their growth, their transparency, and just to see how the rest of their life has been so fruitful. And so I just want to do the same thing in terms of sharing my journey, being a source of inspiration as well as information, particularly when it comes to medical dermatology. As I mentioned in my recent video, the lack of exposure and education that we get as nurse practitioners. And so came across Elite MP, decided to open a business, and decided to set off and create my social media presence. So initially it starts off as, yeah, I just want to be out here sharing my journey. But then it's like, man, I'm putting in all this time. How can I make it not just about me? And so now I'm out here trying to figure out how to be more engaging and how to offer you information that you can actually utilize immediately after watching these videos. And so I decided to do coaching. And so why social media? Why does it even matter? So of course I have learned so much about social media. I've been on social media for a very long time, since middle school, but as a consumer, right? So now as an entrepreneur and business person, even as a public figure, I started looking at it from a different perspective and trying to figure out how to do it, if I should do it, right? So the big question is why you should do social media. Well, it's a great source of information. All of us come to YouTube and Google to answer very simple questions and also very complex questions. And we know that anyone can create information here. And so it's important that those of us who are experts in whatever field we may be in, that we are out here amongst the people offering credible information. And people really want to see that, both patients and their families, as well as students, and even policymakers. No one is immune when it comes to how we use social media. I know there's a lot of people who are against social media, and I think that's just because it does get that connotation of, entertainment, and there's all kinds of information. There's different types of channels, if you will. So I'm more of the edutainment, more of what I talk about is education, but there's certainly a lot of um, entertainment, right? And we all have enjoyed those and benefit from them greatly. And sometimes I think that's where most of the attention goes, but there's still a lot of educational information out there. Um, so why you should be on social media to offer credible information. It's free marketing. If you are in business or entrepreneurship, it's a great way to market your platform. You can answer questions for people. Your frequently asked questions is a great place to start. You can build community. What I really love is that it allows patients to see who you are as a person, whether or not they even want to come be your patient, or client. How do you present on screen? How do you respond to people in the comments? What kind of information do you provide? Are you consistent? Are you accurate? Are you passionate? Do I see other people who look like me represented in your comments or your pictures? So I found people, my derm PA, I found her on Instagram. So it's a wonderful platform. The question is, and there's a lot of questions to get into if you're going to do social media, and we'll get into that in the future. Sometimes it's just about whether or not you're even going to be yourself, because you have so many interests, right? I think a lot of times we get burnt out because we only focus on the patient part. And if you're doing that 24/7, 12 months out of the year, you're going to get burnt out, right? And so maybe you want to spend all 8 hours of your day at work talking about acne, and then you come home and make videos about acne. Maybe that's something you're passionate about and you love it. But if you think you might take a little break, maybe you talk about something that's not related to what you do for a living and share that, right? And you can do it from your perspective as a nurse practitioner or not. That's the beauty of social media. It's like an art, a blank canvas. You can make it your own. And I love that. I love that for you. I want to see you be able to be more creative and explore, because you're more than what you do for a living. Often that conversation um, refers to like men, right? That men associate their identity with what they do. But women are very similar, especially if you talk about being a mother, right? Once they become a mother, that's how they introduce themselves. That's the only thing they talk about. It's like you're only this one thing. But we are all complex individuals with multiple things to offer, and we should see ourselves that way. And so why should we be on social media? Because it allows you to determine your own digital footprint. And there's a million ways you can do it. So the next reason why you should consider being on social media or even group coaching is because if you want to go to the next level, you have to be in the right room. And we've all heard that saying, like, I don't know, the 3 or the 5 people you surround yourself with are a reflection of where you're going. I know that to be absolutely true, right? And so I'm out here, I'm trying to put myself in these other rooms. And so, I'm out here making this content. How can I elevate it, make it more valuable for you? I don't know everything there is to know about social media, and I don't have the time. And so I decided to look into I think I even said another video. I recognize that if I'm going to go to the next level, I need to be with people who can take me there. And so the first thought really, and I'm going to reference Robert Kiyosaki's book, Cash Flow Quadrant. You might know him as Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I love that book. It's my recommendation if you're starting off in mind shift. I would recommend you start with that book. So we're all the same. We all start off as, well, most of us as employees, right? I'm doing this thing to help grow somebody else's dream. Then I get tired of doing that. So I start thinking, oh, I should make my own business. So now I move from employed to self-employed, right? So there's 4 quadrants, right? And on this side is employee and self-employed. So now not only am I just an employee who works 40 hours and clocks out, now I'm working for myself. This is way better, right? Now I'm the employee, I'm HR, accounting, marketing, customer service, social media. You're all the things now. And so you're working even more than you did before. And I think he said within 5 years, 50% of self-employed people burn out, and those who don't burn out in the 5 years burn out in 10. So it was a statistic I don't remember, but it was striking. Um, and that's because we're trying to do it all on our own. And nurses, I think, are pretty guilty of doing that, trying to figure it out on our own. And I've talked before about why I think we do that. But we can't learn everything on our own. And so it's important to be in the right room. And so I'm trying to put myself in the right room. And so it's that thinking like, I'm going to do it all on my own. And then if you are surrounding yourself with other entrepreneurs, and especially those who have been really successful, you're going to hear them say that you really need to get help. And so you finally say, okay, look, I can't do it on my own. I'm going to have to learn to trust other people, right, to help me get to this next level. So now you start saying, okay, how much is it going to cost? And I'm going to encourage you not to stay in that place, because the next step of questioning that you should be thinking isn't how much is it going to cost? How much do they want me to pay them? It should be more as in how much am I willing to invest in myself? And that's how I look at coaching. And so that's where I'm at. And so then it became really, I wasn't even thinking about doing it last week, but I saw her announcement and I just ran with it because I already had decided that that was going to be the next step. And because she's been sharing her journey and because I've been following it for so long, I trust her and I've seen her own success. And so, yeah, the proof was in the pudding. And so one of the benefits of coaching is to fast track your success. And so now in 5 days, she has condensed what she's learned. I think I don't remember how long she's been on social media, but I've been following her for 3 years. So that's longer than me. That's longer than I've been on it. And that's enough for me, because what you're going to find is that once you're in this room, you're not alone. There's other people there with you. And so as far as the week went, we received email prior to giving us homework each day. And it was written, but we also had little videos or audio of her telling us what to do, what to expect. We had a workbook that accompanied it. And so one of the benefits of like group coaching, in addition to being in the right room, fast tracking our success, is just getting that kickstart. Because like I started this video with, you've probably already been thinking about it. You've been wondering, you've been hearing about it. You see more and more people offering it as a service. So it's like, there's got to be something to this, right? And there is, because it helps kickstart whatever you've been just thinking about. And so I did the same thing in December. Again, I wasn't planning on doing Vlogmas, but someone I follow mentioned that they were going to do it. And in the back of my head, I knew I wanted to get this channel started. And so when I heard that, it was really just like the right opportunity. I had already been kind of playing around with YouTube, particularly for the Melanin Initiative podcast. So I wasn't coming in fresh, but certainly what I do here is different than what I do over there. And that whole Vlogmas thing gave me the kickstart that I needed. And while I didn't finish the 25 videos, I have been consistently here once a week, on the weekends, mostly live. And so for that, I'm proud of myself. And I know you can do it too. And if I forget to mention, if you are looking to get started and you found a million reasons why now is not the time, let me tell you, the best way to do it is live, and just do it, just get it over with. And that's how the week started. And for most people, that's how their whole week finished too, was getting over the fear, right? Maybe because they didn't like their camera quality or the lighting, they didn't know what to say, how to say it, who they were talking to. And so that was a big part of the conversation, like, who are you talking to? And so we started off like, who are you talking to, how to engage them, kind of a formula for doing that, how to work with the algorithm. But the fear part, so even though I'm not in the fear stage anymore, I completely remember it like it was yesterday. And what really helped me is that last year, this time, I started on Instagram. I did a lot of videos, and they were pre-recorded reels. And they're all in my highlights. I did like a 30-day article challenge where I read a different article a different article related to dermatology and discussed the implications for dermatology nurse practitioners. It took me so long to film those, and I had my notes on the side, and I don't know, you can probably tell that I was, referring to something. But as the 30 days went by, I relied less and less on the notes, and I just came up with a better system on how to provide the information. But it was scary. Even coming on this channel was scary because here I kind of talk more about myself than I do on the podcast. So I still had to go through that phase all over again. But the fear from the other ladies who participated in coaching last week, that fear is real. It's very real, especially on social media. And even though I'm not in the fear stage, whatever is after the fear stage, I'm probably there in some ways, because even after I post something, I might still think about like, oh, because you're thinking who's going to see it, right? Especially if you make your pages public. You have patients who look you up, your colleagues, potential employers. I was already on social media when I started applying for these jobs. But I wasn't afraid of that, because mostly, one, because of the content I put out there, and also two, because I have a bigger plan. And so yeah, I wasn't afraid in that regard. But one thing I know for certain, and two things I know for sure, is the more you do it, the better it gets. And someone else, I'm going to steal it. She said, until you launch, you can't land. You really just have to get it done. And if it really helps you, although it might be more of a crutch. I would just say, I'm not even going to mention it, because I don't want you to have a way out. I just want you to post your first video and just get it over with. Spend 5 minutes maybe, um, and have your little outline. Your first video, no one's going to watch except your friends or family. Now, later on, when your channel grows, people will come back and binge watch all your content. But by then, even if it's horrible, they'll have all the other new stuff to compare it to, and they won't think twice about it, or they'll really appreciate where you've come from. I know even I look at this as my journey. I say, look at, this is how it is now. By the end of later, like when I did Vlogmas, it's like, it's going to get better. And it does. You learn how to be more efficient. You learn how to use the tools. You become more comfortable. And honestly, the start is the hardest part, because let's say your topic is social media and group coaching. Once I get that intro out and I'm talking, you see I'm rambling now. I'm just going on. And it gets so much easier, especially if you're talking about something that you're interested in. I don't want to go as far to say that you love or you're passionate about, because maybe you don't know what that is. And that you're looking for just kind of you're trying to figure that out. Maybe that's what your page is about, figuring it out. Who are you besides a nurse or a nurse practitioner? So that's an idea. And so my advice is just to do it. You can do it with a buddy, but then what are you going to do the next time they're not there? You're still going to have to take that first step. So yeah, just do it. And the easiest way to do it is to keep it simple. I spent so much time trying to do graphics and music and editing. It takes up so much. I did learn a lot, and it came in super handy when I started working with diversity and dermatology, because she's like, oh, do you know how to use Canva? And I could say yes. And so my advice now, and I get it, when we first start doing something, whether it's starting a business, building a website, we want to know we're curious, we're interested, it's fascinating. We want to learn how to do it. And sometimes it's important, right? Because if you have other people on your team who do a role, if they're not available, you need to know how to step in. So I totally get that. And so my recommendation for that is just give yourself a time frame. Say in the next 90 days, I'm going to learn as much as I can about logo creation, branding, marketing, communication, editing, social media management tools, identifying your market, SEO, all those kind of things. And then at the 90 days, have the next plan, right? That you're not going to spend 2 weeks figuring out a logo. You're not going to spend 30 days trying to find a template for your website. You're just going to get it done. Okay. So that's the other benefit of coaching. It helps you kickstart. It helps you just get started, right? And one thing she mentioned is that she's had over like 800 people participate in this group coaching, and still a large percentage never make their second video. I find that really fascinating. And I think a lot of that has to do with being in community. And so that's my fifth reason why you should do group coaching. Um, the benefits of social media, whether you're a practitioner or a business owner, being in the right room so you can fast track your success, kick starting your journey, right? Just having that boost of encouragement, accountability, seeing that you're not alone. It's an opportunity for you to invest in yourself. And then it's community. So there was 30 of us in the group, but now I'm connected to all 30 of them now, but now I'm also connected to their network. And you see how this goes? So now I have 30 women who potentially could be free marketing or word of mouth for me, and like I'm going to do for them too, right? And so um, the question is, am I going to do it again? Absolutely, I'm going to do it again. And so now what I'm looking at is like the 5 days are super helpful. I have a whole outline now of how to approach social media and the tools that she gave us. Now I can use them in other ways. Even one of my, I don't know what to call them, my group coaching colleagues started, and I don't know if she already had it going, but I saw she already has her own group coaching going. So yeah, you can use it to start your own business. Now you've been a part of it, you can see what to offer, how you would do things differently. For me personally, now I'm looking at, and so now I have these tools, and I'm going to use them in all the areas that I work in, and all the partners I have are going to benefit from this experience too. So the investment that I made is going to get multiplied. Um, and now the question is, what's next? So now when I look into an opportunity to get coaching and mentorship, the question is, will that investment connect me to the community, right? Because I need to have access to the community for a very long time. That's really what you're investing in. And it's the same thing. I remember when I went to Tufts, that was like my first kind of Ivy League school experience. Um, well, I also worked for GW, and so I kind of got a glimpse there too. And for me, when I look at schools like that, because the students are the same, the problems are the same, right? And sometimes the teachers are the same. Teachers come from all over the place. Professors, um, what's different is the network and the community. And so I would say that really you're paying to be part of that community. And for some people, it's worth it. And for me, it's worth it. I want to be around not even like-minded people. I need to be around next level thinking people. That's where I need to be. I need to not be the one with all the answers and recommendations and solutions. I need to be like, oh, I've never heard that. And can you explain that another way? I don't get it. I don't understand. And maybe I'm past that point. And maybe that's a good thing, actually. Because I think I've explained, like, I haven't been able to really find a mentor of the caliber I'm looking for. Now, the group that I'm thinking about joining, yeah, they're beyond that caliber. Um, so I'll keep you posted on that. So yeah, that was my experience with group coaching. Yes, I highly recommend it. Yes, I think you should be on social media, but only if you want to. And honestly, I think if you're going to be on social media, use it to fill a gap, right? I'm filling a gap when it comes to education for dermatology nurse practitioners. Find what gap you can fill. I'm just going to leave it at that. So, and do something you like. Even if it's not something you love or you're passionate about, as you continue to do this, you'll figure that out, and your audience will tell you what they want from you. So as I make these videos and I mention little tidbits about me, you're learning more about me. And over time, as this community grows, you'll start to tell me either through thumbs up, through subscribing, which if you haven't already done that, you should do it, or comments directly or messages. You'll tell me what you want to hear from me. And that will change the direction that I go too, because I think we all come out here with our own ideas, our own agendas, but it's the community. We kind of grow together and we find what works for both of us that keeps us coming back. So speaking of coming back, next week we will do, what do I want to do next week? I don't know yet. I think I was gonna, I still need to write that article. Oh, you know what? Next week I'm going to Detroit next week. I'm trying to figure out when I would do this video. I'll have my laptop. I won't have my lighting. And so if you are new here, like I just gave a whole I just did a whole monologue on social media. And so in addition to talking about social media and how it can be beneficial for you, I do talk about my individual experience. And so one of my videos from my Vlogmas was on the Sony ZV-1F blogging camera, which is designed for you to take it right out of the box and use it immediately. Love this camera. My mom even took it the other day when she got her PRP injections. Oh, was this on? Oh, the battery's fresh though. And I was just talking about it with my little group, and I believe it was like under $400. I bought it during December. So one of my videos is on this. I did unboxing for my lighting. And so today, I'm trying something different with my lighting. I stopped being lazy. I put both my lights up. And because during the coaching, my coach mentioned that she likes soft light. And before I've been using white light. And I think a lot of people who have the ring light, which I don't recommend, I'd recommend you use natural lighting over the ring light. Unless your ring light allows you to set temperature, that's cool. But that harsh, bright lighting, it's not a, especially once you have an eye for it, I think now it bothers me. But anyway, I switched to soft lighting. I have two lights coming in from the side, and I have a window open, although it's gray and cloudy today, so I don't think that's helping me much. And then I have the lighting from the house itself. So I'm curious to see how this looks compared to the other videos. I talk about it because it's part of me, just my journey to see. But yeah, just a little behind the scenes also. And so if there's any questions you have about social media, there's a lot more to say about social media. I mean, and it's a serious topic because, like I said, patients are out here, you have compliance offices. So this is just the beginning of that conversation. So if there's anything in particular you want me to mention, please leave it in the comments and let me know. Please subscribe so that you know next time I go live. I will be going live from Detroit. I wonder if I should just go live at the airport. I'll have to figure that out. And like I said, I wanted to write an article about my business. I have an interview this week, a discovery call. Let's see here. An interview for the podcast. If you're new here, I have a health literacy podcast from the nurse's perspective called the Melanin Initiative. And so I do interviews, among other things, for it. And so that's what I'm referring to. So there's an interview on Tuesday. And then I have a discovery call on Wednesday. Thursdays are my long days. So I don't know unless I get to today, I'm trying to write today. So if I can get all the writing done, then I might be able to come back and talk about my business. But if not, I don't know. It'll be a surprise. So yeah. But yeah, please share my video with your colleagues. It really helps grow the channel, but it also helps get the information out there because I think social media is something we just can't ignore. So I want to thank you so much for watching. Any of the videos that I referenced today, including the two books that I mentioned by Robert Kiyosaki and Daniel Priestley, are in the description box. And if I haven't already mentioned it, anytime I mention a book, I always am referring to the audiobook, which is my recommendation for clinicians who are busy and often don't have time to sit down and read a book. And so I'd hate for you to miss out on really valuable information, whether it's books or even the latest evidence. There's a hack for that too, how you can listen to articles. But anyway, I'll put that in the description box so you can check those out. Let me know if you have any questions, if you've read the book, if you love it, and if you have one that you think I should check out. I thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day on purpose, and I'll see you soon.